Oh, yeah. Another live show. Better late than never. And better never than late. What is going on, guys? Happy Thursday. We are in the mix, man. It is Thursday. Can you believe we are almost out of May? Like, what has gone on, dude? We have flown through this month, and it has been absolutely crazy, dude. Absolutely crazy. But I want to tell everybody, happy freaking Thursday. You made it to another Thursday, man. Another week down. What is this live show? 230 plus. It's crazy. One of my buddies was like, man, why are we even keeping up count anymore? And I'm like, I'm not really keeping up count anymore. It's just one of those things. But yeah, guys, certainly happy to have you guys here. Thank you for checking out the show. Man, what a wonderful day. Good vibes. And again, we've got some good things to talk about here. So very, very nice. Good to have everybody in here. And again, happy freaking Thursday, dude. Hope you guys got some airtime in and got out to do some flying. Here in North Carolina, we had some very nice weather. It was nice blue skies. Today was a nice day. Earlier last week, we did not have good days. So it's nice to have that. But guys, glad to have you in the mix. Let's see, we're running down L. Randall. Let's see, Bill Wagner, Tim Burks. Let's see here. We've got Biddy, Tennessee. Biddy, what's going on, man? Biddy, I need to get up with you too and have you back on the show. I need you on here for your advice there. Spanish Cop, what's going on there, Michael? Good to have you in here as well. Let's see here. Rolling down the list. Let's see here. Tim Burks, Twin City, what's going on? Man, oh, man. Mountain RC, what's going on? Mountain RC, I tried to send you a link to earlier, but for whatever reason, I could not get your email to pull up. So let's see here. Louis Motorsports, what's going on? RC Flying Veteran. Jay Custer, we just got people filing on in, man. So good to have you. Welcome. Happy Thursday. And we're back in the mix, dude. This is it. So, yeah, wanted to talk to you guys about a couple of things, man. Look, we're going to get back to the basics on the channel. We're going to come back and we're going to start talking about EDF airplanes. We're going to start talking about electric airplanes, current events and everything like that. So, yeah, we're going to get back to the basics and, just start talking about some of the things, the fundamentals of the channel. We're still going to discuss turbines and things like that. But, had some conversations with some very close people and they're like, hey, man, be nice to, talk a little more about the EDFs and the electric airplanes and the turbine jets. So we're going to balance all that stuff out. So that's what we're going to do. And yeah, so I think that's good. Let's take a look here. I'm just jumping into the comments so I can say current. Let's see here. Flying Cowboy USA from Florida. What's going on, man? So we're talking about that. Let's see. Radio Master Tech Talk on podcast. Yeah, dude. We got to talk about Radio Master, man. It's not getting enough credit. And I think a lot of people are scared of Radio Master, FR Sky, So I think that, there's a learning curve that you can learn. We're all flying RC airplanes, so obviously we can learn these complex systems that we're doing, right? So that's one thing. P51 fan, what's going on, man? Good to have you in the mix. Let's see here, man. It's pretty cool. Let's see. I'm looking at some of the conversations that we're having here. So, but yeah, dude. So let's talk about it. Let's talk big EDF jets, man. How many of you guys would like to see some 105, some 120 millimeters? I had a conversation with a couple of people close by, and they're like, hey, man, we'd love to see some more larger EDF jets. come to market, and that would be cool. The sweet spot is like the 80, 90 millimeter. I think that $500 to $600 range. Well, it's really $800 range now, but that's kind of one of the things that if you're willing to spend the kind of money for these larger EDFs, I think you'd be in good shape. So RC Flying Veteran says I do. But what do you guys think about that? Would you be willing to pay extra for a 105 millimeter that came to market or a 120 millimeter? I know a lot of you guys out there don't have the ability to fly turbine jets at your field. They may not allow it. So I was talking to someone where they're like, "Hey, I'd love to fly turbines, but I can't because our field doesn't allow it. So I'm stuck with EDF jets." And I think that's it's a good balance in between the two. Let's see, but one of the big EDF issues is that the big ones use two lipos most of the time, and then two lipos for flying the servos and everything. So that's just something to think about. P51 fan says big EDF jets need big batteries. Nobody has high quality lipos in stock, except for who is it that carries it? SMC. SMC typically has them, man. You can get some 7,000 from them, no problem. Let's see, but not composite. So those cost too much. Yeah, I think sometimes, it's a very careful balance between EDF jets, composites, balsate, and foam. I think that foam is going to be your best bang for your buck, but composites are expensive. And, I was talking to a couple of people about them that, they are pretty pricey for some people, and some people can't afford them, right? So not everybody is fortunate enough to be able to buy these composite airplanes. But if you can afford it and you can do it, man, pull the trigger on it, man. Try it out. You never know. Spanish Cop says foamy 105 millimeter is the way to go. They're super affordable. Composite is just adding too much to the price. Absolutely, I would agree. A lot of people like the composites. You get more longevity out of the composite airplanes, but that cost analysis is one of those things that turns a lot of people away. And you're talking to a guy that flew the big EDFs, the big MB339s, the T45s, all of them, man. So, it's one of those things. Let's see. Victor RC Jet says composite aircraft is lighter than foam. So that's one of the things, that's something to think about. Let's take a look here. We got RC Pilot Will. What's going on, RC Pilot Will?
Going on? What's going on, Bobby? What's going on, everybody?
Man, we got you in the mix here. Let me turn your volume up there so we can hear you. There we go.
Yeah,
Man,
what's going on? Can you hear
not
me?
much. Not much. Yeah, I hear you loud and clear.
Yeah,
Let's see.
man. Happy Thursday, everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're in here,
we
dude.
here.
We are in here, man. We're just sitting here having a good conversation. We're talking about foamy 105 millimeters. If they're the way to go because they're affordable. I
Oh,
myself
yeah.
have an Aerofoam models. MB339. I've had the T45. We've had the L39, dude. They're just affordable, are they not?
They're affordable and they fly great and they give you a good flight time for what they are. I
They
mean,
do.
what is it, a 12S system? It's giving
Yeah,
you 330, 4 if you throttle it good. I
right.
mean, that's a good. I mean, what AF models are like what $1,300, something like
Oh yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah,
That's a little bit more than what you pay for, a MiG 29 from Ocean RC, and you got you a really good flying sport jet.
yeah, for sure. It's
That's
one of those
pretty
things.
damn durable too.
They really are. They're more. I think they're more durable than some of the balsa, some of the other ones that are out there too.
Oh yeah,
And
that
if you wreck them or crash them, you can go just get a readily available like wing or something like that. It's foam,
yep,
so
yep.
you can get them. Let's see. Wiggle Fingers RC, what's going on? He says, I'm in the bigger ones as long as the quality is there, along with thrust to weight ratio is there. Can't stand the big ones that you have to upgrade to get the new TW correct. I'm good with dual, 8S cells. I agree. You get to a point where, you know, you get tired of having to, upgrade and get the larger, cells in order to get the thrust that you're looking for. Let's
Right,
see.
right. Yeah. Some of them are gotta be careful with out there.
Oh
But for
yeah.
the most part, I can say that. I mean, I've flown the EDF, AF model F-22. I've flown the AF model L-39, and I've flown the the Black Horse 120. And I can tell you right now, even the Black Horse 120, dude, with a 110 in it, that thing flies amazing.
Oh
You don't even
no.
have a 20 in it. You can put a 110 in that thing, and it flies amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting to see, man, how well these things fly, and how well they're doing, By the way, big
Yeah.
Tim Burke says, "What's up, Big Will? How's it going?" We got
What's up,
Wes.
Tim? Tim sent me a message.
What do
He
you
did
say?
a speed uh speed test um on the whatchamacallit, the K8.
Oh
Yeah, he
yeah,
did
oh
K8,
yeah,
and he did 110 flat and level.
yeah.
No dive. No dive at all. He just
There's
did,
people
did
getting about
110
130
flat.
miles an hour out of that thing that
Come
I've
again?
seen. I've seen people getting 130 plus miles an hour out of that thing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
All
It's
stop,
it's
bone stop.
Yeah, it's easy. Bone stock, 6S. It's easy over 110, 120, 130. I mean, of course, altitude is going to make a difference too. So
Right. Let's see. Bill Wagner says that's a big thing. Composite parts, almost non-existent, where foam is easier to fix, cost-wise, and a lot wallet-friendly. That's true too. Typically, when you get these composite parts, I don't think they normally have them in stock like the way they do anything else. So sometimes they have to order them overseas, if I'm not mistaken, and then you have to get them overseas, get them here, and then they ship them to your house. So it is one of those things. Is that about right? How that typically goes down there, Will?
yeah, from what I've been hearing, man, getting those parts is it's a little bit of a process. Um, I know somebody that had the situation happened already, and it's a
Yeah.
little bit of a process to get replacement parts. So,
Right.
yeah, you go through a long drawn out process
Yeah.
basically. Yeah, they got to get it all, get it. They got to build it. They got to paint it. They got to. It takes that. You can look anywhere from 60 to 90 days before you get the actual replacement.
Man, that's a long time, dude.
That's
That's
a
a lot.
long time to say you got money invested in it. So
Which again is another thing for you to think of. Everybody wants a big composite airplane, but you have to think about these kind of things. And like I said, with the foam airplanes, I mean, this is so easy just to replace and get new parts and that kind of thing. So, Bill Wagner, he says, if companies made a 105 or 110 size EDFs, besides the very few options that we have right now, I would agree. There hasn't been a lot of new options out there lately. And I guess the ones that are out there by Aerofoam and everything, they just been doing so well, man. They're just cruising right along, paying the bills, right?
right,
So,
right.
but I've been told, I think I talked to Jeremy, and he told me most of the money is in the composite airplanes. That's what pays the bills. And so that's kind of one of those things where it's interesting to hear because you would think that EDFs and stuff like that would suffice, but there's just not a lot of larger people out there buying the larger 105s and 110s. So it's really like it's a niche market that
Hmm.
you're talking to that buy these 105 and 110s.
And
Um,
then and then you gotta look at this too, Bobby. That's some of these manufacturers are making these things big in size and still running 90s.
yeah,
For
yeah,
instance, the Black Horse L-39. That's a 90 millimeter. And it's the
crazy.
beautiful the plane is just as almost as big as a Viper, a
Yeah,
Black Viper. Almost. It ain't as big. It's
yeah,
almost as big.
yeah. It's really interesting. Looking at West Hobbies, he says I will take composite all day over foam, and I agree. I think that if you can afford composite, by all
Yeah,
means, it's going to
definitely.
last so much longer. But foam is such a good balance between, cost, durability, and then longevity. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not going to last as long as composite, but it is very resilient, and you can go get new parts for it if that's what you need to do.
I
One
mean,
of those
don't get me
things.
wrong, guys. Composite is great. Composite is good stuff. Um, if you got the pocket for composite, go for it. but I would never push someone to, and I mean, I don't, we review planes here. We just review them. We tell you what we think about them. We don't
Right.
try to tell you to go buy this plane. We tell you
Right.
where to find it if you want to get it, but that's about it. But at the same time, we don't push anything on anybody. If you can't, I'm not gonna say you can't afford composite, but if it's a little over the top for you to get composite,
Yeah.
don't invest in it because it ain't about if something goes wrong. It's when something goes wrong. That's when it's gonna bite you hard.
Yeah.
And even me on my turbine, you crash the turbine, you do that engine in bad, you gotta get ready to spit the bill because
Yeah.
it's
It's true.
expensive.
Like we're having a real conversation right here about that because sometimes, wants and needs are two different things. And really, it's like the whole channel here is to have you exposed to new things that you would not normally see. So some of these turbine jets that you would normally never see, jet ruler and things like that, and talking about
Right,
aerodynamics.
right.
These are things that typical,
Pilot RC.
yeah, pilot RC stuff. You would never see anybody really talk about this stuff in detail. So we're very thankful for that. But also, too, we also realize that like there's a price point that has to be met with people that is affordable. So I've always said that smaller EDFs pay the bills, and the larger ones are the ones that companies want to be sold.
Right.
Companies like Banana Hobby, to be honest with you, large EDF jets don't sell as well as composite airplanes. Yeah.
Yeah,
They don't sell as well as smaller EDF jets. The reason
yeah,
is it's a niche market. Not a lot of people are going to want these 105s to buy two batteries, spend $900 on a big, large 105. So it's kind of one of those things. I asked the questions about this and talked to Jeremy about it and talked to Kerry about it. And they broke it down like a shotgun, man, that there's not a lot of people that buy these 105s. The numbers aren't there. And you can look around and see there's only two companies that are carrying large EDF jets on a consistent basis. That's Banana Hobby, and then the other one is HSD Jets. So
HSD jets.
you really got to pick in between the two that you want. And then you got to think about when you buy that, you got to think about customer service. Who's more likely to have parts widely available, that's going to give them to you, that knows what they're talking about, or the latter of the two. So it's just one of those things that you really want to pay attention to. So it's and I'm talking about this because I had a good conversation with a couple of people who were like, "Hey, man, we would love to see some larger EDF jets." And
Right.
I asked the tough questions to the manufacturers, and this is it, point blank. It's like they got to sell what sells. If the larger airplanes aren't selling like the smaller ones, guess what? They're not going to sell a lot of them.
Yeah, they're
And
not gonna sell a lot of them. And
and
they're not gonna invest a lot into them.
exactly. And one of the things is too we have to think about is look, remember, like right now, we're coming out of the phase of the twin 40 millimeter and the 64 millimeter craze, right? Remember that time where there was nothing but 64s coming out and everybody was
Yep.
scratching their head like, why?
Yep.
But that's what the manufacturers were pushing out. Why? Because people can afford the smaller ones. They
Yep.
were buying the smaller ones. They weren't buying the bigger ones.
Even
So
in tougher times, people were
yeah, yeah,
buying the smaller jets, the smaller EDFs, the smaller prop
yeah.
planes. They were buying them easy.
Yeah, and Spanish Cop, you're right. He says, well, that's odd that 105s and 110s seem to sell quickly, so that's odd. And the thing is like I don't think that they're selling quickly. I think that they carry less of them because you're going to carry less of a product that doesn't move as fast as all the other ones. So it's a very interesting situation. Me personally, you know, I would think more people would want 105s, right? Bigger flies better. Like it's just more logical to me.
Oh yeah.
But and me personally, I love the larger jets. Like 80 to 90 is my sweet spot in EDFs. But it's pretty interesting. Let's see. Spanish Cop says, Bobby, Airfoam is primarily 105. Why aren't they releasing anything? That's a good question. I don't know. And the way it really works is that so some of these companies have influence. Like let's say Banana Hobby has some influence on what they say, but remember the manufacturer, like let's say Fly Fans. Fly Fans is going to put out what Fly Fans wants. If Banana
Right.
Hobby wants to go in half on something or a quarter or whatever, then they can do it and then they can have some leverage on that. But you're talking about an enormous amount of money that goes into some of these larger EDF jets.
Right.
And sometimes for companies, it's not beneficial at all. It's not beneficial for them to go in there and partake on that. So it's one of those things where it's a very delicate balance. And it's just one of the things that it's cool because on this channel, you're getting exposed to something that you would never even really know about or hear about. And so you guys get the chance to see the behind the scenes of what really happens. It looks like we got Jeremy Stolt in the background there. He popped up. And so, and he can give some insight on some of the stuff on how this happens because he's a little bit more in tune with what goes on.
Right.
And it's pretty interesting. But let's take a look here. And Jeremy, what's going on, man?
Hey, just getting things
Getting on.
wrapped up.
Yeah. Hey, look,
Sorry,
dude,
apologize.
we're having deep
What are we talking about?
conversations about big EDF jets, 105s, and how come the new ones aren't coming to market? Do they sell good? And basically, I just told everybody that the 105s don't sell nearly as good as some of the turbine versions or some of the smaller versions. And basically, what I have learned through talking to different manufacturers is that the manufacturers are going to put out what the manufacturers want, and they really set the standard in what way things are going. So, and look, they're looking at the markets like everybody else. So if people are buying smaller $200 airplanes, guess what? They're going to produce that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Larger EDF jets aren't moving like composite airplanes, aren't moving like 80 millimeters and stuff like that. So feel free to jump in and give some insight.
The facts are this.
What are the facts?
The facts are you got for instance for us, we've got our MB339, we've got our T45, we got our L39. Those are all 105s. We also have the Raptor, right? So the facts are the economy in the RC world ever since the COVID time frame and container costs and all that stuff like that. That really goofed up development of larger EDFs.
Yeah, I would agree.
Realistically. So you used to see a whole bunch of those going on because everything was going pretty good, right?
Sure.
So then what happened is everybody kind of got a little bit touchy on their money, being honest. And big EDFs they don't sell very well. They just don't. So numbers wise, you see about 97% of the foam built airplanes being built and sold as turbine versions. The EDF version is only that 4%, 3-4%, right? Around there. So yes, the EDF versions kind of seem to go out of stock pretty quick. And the reason why they go out of stock is because there's really not a lot that we're buying.
Yeah.
So ultimately, if we saw more cells in the EDF versions, we would adjust what we request to be made and delivered to us.
Right.
And so the facts are that. But again, like I said, the development now, let's talk to the development. Now, the development of these airplanes, yes, there are planes being developed, okay, in the 105 and turbine version foam jets. So there are. So just so you guys know, there are being built. The dilemma is that a lot of these manufacturers are in tough times also.
Bingo.
Okay. So yes, us as customers, they're in tough time, right? So the reason why it's not that they're not making, every single company that is making anything is slow right now because they're in tough times over there, okay? There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of customs that are really getting pinched on things, you know, because of wars. The items that are being used in RC airplanes are being used in war machines.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of custom things that are going on too. So there's a lot more than just we want it, make it, and then get it to us fast. It's just the facts. Now, the Raptor, when that was developed, that was an over 2-year project. Okay? So you guys didn't know about it because nobody told you about it. But that was at least 2 years worth of work before it came out. And that was when things were a little bit faster. So things are slower right now in getting produced. Now, it's just what it is. Now, like I said, we're not forgetting about the EDF 105, guys. It's just things are slower right now. We apologize. It's just what it is. Now, we would love to see a whole bunch of stuff. I know of at least 2 airplanes that are being...
That would be killer right there.
I know of at least two foam...
That would be amazing.
There's at least 2 foam airplanes that are being produced. Okay, so relax. Okay, when it's ready, it will be out. So, what is the story with AF? Is AF not making nothing now? They've been under tough times.
Yeah,
That's just what it is. AF Models is trying to get into composites. I don't know if you guys saw, they made an F-22 composite Raptor.
I heard about that. Yeah.
So AF Models, these manufacturers are seeing that the foam EDFs are a lot different than composite. AF Models even wants to get into composites. And there's nothing that we can do as a distributor besides say, hey, look, this is what we want you guys to do. Let's come up with an agreement on cost that it's going to take. And if that works, then we do that.
And Jeremy, the reason why there's nothing that we can do is because, like, they're footing the bill to build this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, they're the ones paying for the tooling and everything like that. Is that right?
So when a company's when a manufacturer's having tough times, us as like Banana Hobby, we have to front a lot of money to get them to do what we want them to do. Now companies that are doing awesome, like Jet Ruler is making such a great product and everybody wants it, right? They are selling like hotcakes. Well, then guess what? They have extra money to be able to do developments and do their own stuff and do their own molds and do their own stuff like that, right? And so again, I'm not talking down on AF Models. AF Models makes great stuff.
They do.
Okay? They're just being a little bit slower than what we're used to seeing in getting things out. Okay. Yeah, composites. Like Victor says, composites are easier to make because.
But my thing is this: if composites are easier to make, then why are they much more expensive?
Because the materials are more. I didn't say they're less expensive to make. I said they're easier to make. So yeah, fiberglass isn't expensive.
Yeah.
But the technique of doing it right is the expensive. You know what I mean?
So a lot of this is you're paying for a lot of labor, basically.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you have an airplane that is not built right, then it's not worth paying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
And so they know. I mean, you could have a composite airplane that's just built like absolute garbage. But yeah, they could make it. They could build it in a couple of weeks versus how some of these take months.
And this is like, Jeremy, I'm thankful for this conversation because it's like, this is, as I was saying before you came on, like, this is the stuff people don't really get to hear about. Nobody knows about. They don't get to really understand the backstory.
Yeah, no, composites and it says there, but composite jacks up price an extra $2,000, which you can't afford. Sorry, that's not your level. I can't go out and buy a Lamborghini. I know my place, but again, it's one of those things.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean,
There's
you
there's
said
nothing that we can.
composite is cheaper. Composite is a cheaper material to use, but it's the technique in doing it right. I mean, um, I'm trying to understand, like, what kind of technique makes it where it's, $4,000 for an airframe?
Handmade, squished into a mold and
Yeah.
popped out.
Yeah, I think people don't realize like these
It's
composite
different.
airplanes, like physical
It's
people have to touch
completely
them.
different. It's
They're
completely
actually
different.
touching them and molding them and making sure the fitting's good. They're checking them. Like that's the thing. I don't know if you've ever worked with fiberglass or anything like that, but that is something that you
I
have to
don't
touch
work with
and mold.
fiberglass.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a different monster for sure.
yeah. There you go, right there. West Hobbies, right? You say it right. You're paying for somebody to lay on a mold and do all that work versus an injection mold. That's the difference.
Yeah, yeah,
And again, I hate to say it that way. Some things are just out of the reach of people. I mean, but it is. But again, we're not forgetting. We're not trying to forget the people that need to be at this level versus this level.
right.
Okay. We're just at a point where things are slower at being produced at that level. That's just where the manufacturers are. Now manufacturers, now you saw that they all kind of shifted down to some smaller airplanes.
Yeah.
Think about why they went with smaller airplanes for a while. I believe that it's because to make a mold for big airplanes will just say cost 4 times as much. And if a company's having a tough time, they're not going to go and put all their eggs in one basket on one plane.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just there's a lot more than just why are they not doing it? Well, there's many factors. You know what I mean? And saying why are they not doing it is not really even the right response either. They are doing it. It's just it's a slower pace. It's just you know what I mean.
Yeah.
There are things coming.
And they also have to worry about paying the bills as well too. So typically, if you're having some type of financial slowdown, you're much more careful with the money and you're more cost efficient. And yeah, it is smarter to go slower than go fast and start producing a bunch of stuff. Yeah.
Now, like right here, let's see. There's a 1/8 scale F-16 for $2,500, but then you can get get another one for $3,300. So that's foam. I'm assuming you're talking about the HSD one, and then you got the Jet Ruler 1/8. You know what I mean? You got the 2 different versions, very similar in size, but you got different makes. So on the foam ones, all you do is you run the servos through little cut lines, and you put stickers over it to hold them, right? Versus a composite, all the ribs have got to be made in there before everything's laid. All the 2 different sides are all sealed together. It's got to be sanded. It's got to be prepped. It's got to be painted. I mean, there's a lot more to it. And that's what it is.
Okay, so this is my thing. I put a comment in there about.
Sorry, you cut up.
Ask me, have I ever made a mode? No, I have not ever made a mode. I don't do that kind of stuff. If you ask me, have I ever repaired a vehicle or an engine? Yes, I know how to do that. I don't do anything with bodies. I don't touch bodies. Anything mechanical that got moving parts, yeah, I can do that. But anyway, back to the thing is what I'm saying is that
it's just tougher.
Why it seems like the manufacturers are forgetting about the people who can't spend $4,000 to get into doing turbines, which is now going to in turn leave turbine engines not being able to be bought by people who want to get into turbine. Because if I can't buy a plane to put the engine in, why am I going to buy the engine? So now King Tech, NJet, what's the one that Banana Hobby sells? We're gonna be like, dang, I could have got this sale on this person who wants to get into turbines, but they can't afford to buy this $4,000 turbine airframe. You know, so I'm just saying, like, they should be, even if we can't get to the phone, maybe balsa. Like, I mean, Black Horse is doing that. They're doing balsa.
Well,
So maybe we can look into some balsa options. That's what I'm saying. Some of these manufacturers, maybe they can look into it. I know it's their money. They're going to do what they want to do. It's all politics anyway.
Uh-huh.
But just
Well,
you're gonna lose out on people who possibly want to get into doing turbines. Then they may eventually be like, hey, I can fly this thing. All
but
right, let me go and jump into a $4,000 composite jet because now I'm comfortable because I flew this $2,000 balsa jet. I can go and buy a $4,000 composite jet. I'm sorry. If I'm just starting, I don't care if I make $500,000 a year. I'm not gonna just sink $4,000 into a composite jet, and then turn around and buy a nearly $3,000 engine to put in it, and $1,000 in servos, or let's just say $700 in servos. All of that stuff plus my time. Get out to the field and crash it on the second flight. No, I'm not gonna do that. That is a big waste of investment, you know? That's all I'm saying. Like, we just got to have some kind of way to still move these people into getting into turbines without asking them to pay for the current composite jets that are being made. If everybody go to composite, then there's going to be nothing left.
well,
Everybody can't
well,
go to
they're not all going to composite. So again, like I said, there's still airplanes that are being produced. So that person that you're talking about that's beginning and getting into that, L-39, MB-339, F-22
Yeah.
Raptor, those are all still available. What we're talking about is the next things coming up, right? Why is not new stuff coming out, right? And again, it's just they're being slow. It's not that they're not. There's things that are coming. They're just being slow. You know what I mean? But again, as far as like other like manufacturers and all, like Jet Ruler, their focus is only composite jets, and that's all they've been. Will they go to EDS? Who knows in the future? But right now, they're making a ton of money on airplanes the way they're doing it. So
I'm not even saying for them to go to, because I know Jet Ruler's always been composite. I see that, but
AF models, they're looking just to try and expand the
putting,
ideas. You know what I mean?
But you know, I'm just saying, like, being sure that people who aren't doing composite don't just be like, oh, Jet Ruler's doing that, Pilot RC's doing that. Oh, I'm gonna jump on that bandwagon too. Well, you're only gonna have about so many people that you're gonna get, paid from, because I mean, and then once they got it, what they got, and they don't want to buy anymore, who knows? They may not be people that crash off it. They may never crash. Some people are perfect RC pilots.
Well, that's what I hope.
Crash, and you will never get another sale from them. So I mean, and they done bought every plane you put out, so you're not getting no more sales from. So
yep. No, I mean,
if everybody jumps on that composite bandwagon, you're gonna leave the people out who wants an opportunity to get into the turbine world. Mm-hmm. You're gonna leave the people out who wants to get the opportunity to get away from flying a 90mm sport jet and want to get into flying a bigger sport jet and understanding what it feels like. I mean, hey, I did the same thing. I wasn't gonna jump right into a turbine. I told Bobby I'd never fly a turbine until I flew a bigger electric sport jet. And then I flew a bigger electric sport jet than that. When I went to Balsa. I grew the cojones to get Balsa. Then next thing you know, I turn around and
absolutely. There's definitely a graduation level of things, right?
Yeah, I went to the AF model F-22, which
but again,
I'm out of a sport jet into a fighter jet.
But again, we're not forgetting anybody.
But,
we just barely came out with the KA,
You're getting it wrong, Jeremy. I'm not saying Banana Hobby's forgetting anybody. I don't want you to think I'm saying that. I'm not saying that to you. And I'm not being aggressive about it either. It's just I don't want that to be put on me that I'm saying Banana Hobby's forgetting people. I'm not saying because you say we and you're wearing the name on your head, and I don't want that to be misconstrued as I'm saying Banana Hobby's forgetting somebody. Because I know Banana Hobby's not forgetting anybody. Look at all of the smaller planes they've been killing.
They covered the array.
All the EDFs and stuff, dude. Like Banana Hobby's been killing it, period. If you really compare it, nobody's really been buying from any place else other than probably Motion. But other than that, like I said, getting away from the politics side of it, just trying to keep a nice transition.
No, now, like behind the scenes, we've talked with manufacturers. They want to expand on things. They're not necessarily trying to take away. You know what I mean? Now they're going to go with what the market wants right now. They can see the numbers. We see the numbers. If the current EDFs that were out would be getting purchased more on a higher basis, the attention to EDFs at that level would get more attention. Facts, right?
Yeah.
But what is the attention going on? And it's not because of us marketing. It's that the hobby, it seems like everybody's buying the bigger, badder, faster jets because that's what everybody seems to be wanting.
Right.
And that's just what it is. So when airplanes are being decided, right? The manufacturers look and go, look, this did well, this did well, this did well, this did not do well, this did not do well, this did, you know what I mean? They look at those things and they go, okay, well, let's plan our notebook or our planner for what we're going to do for the next year or two, and based upon that, Yeah. And so again, I've said this many, many times, right? If you guys want to see more of this, then spend your money at those type of items.
Yeah.
If you want to see more of this, then spend your money doing it that way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Why is Motion RC doing so well with an 80 and 90s, but Banana think they need small twins?
I think
not us. That's manufacturers. We have proposed many larger airplanes, and they are in the works, right?
Yeah.
Bobby knows. Will know. We've got planes that are big, that are designed, that are coming, but they've got to finish them. There's a lot of very intricate parts that are being made on a lot of these things, and they're just not going to spit them out so that crap can be thrown out the door.
And to play devil's advocate too, just because a company looks like they're doing well doesn't mean they're doing well. You know what I mean? So just because it looks like Motion is doing so well with 90s and 80s, trust me, they're hurting like everybody else, and there's a reason why they're introducing the little 64 millimeter little airplanes, right? You seeing that? They're doing that because they're trying to do the same thing that everybody else has. You have to diversify your portfolio. So they realize they need the small airplanes to sell to compensate for the 80s not selling and the 90s not selling. And that's why, and I'm going to go on Banana's defense because that's why. Go and look at Banana's portfolio and see how many airplanes. They got 40s all the way up to dang, turbine jets. And guess who's now do it, right? So, I'll say that. And I have some insight in Motion RC why I'm saying that. Just because it looks like they're doing good doesn't necessarily mean that they're doing good, right? So, but it's one of those things where I will say Motion just has a good relationship with Freewing, where Freewing just brings airplanes to them, is like here, and so they carry them like that too. So just things to think about, and completely neutral in that, but just trying to give you different thoughts about how the backgrounds work on that, because I will say Motion is not doing
way more to it.
What you think everybody's hurting.
Yeah, and for instance, and I don't know if this was mentioned before or not. Take a step back and look how many companies are actually only making foam 105 airplanes, or big EDFs like that above 90 mil. How many are out there?
That's making foam. It's only two, AF model and HSD.
Yeah.
There's not that many.
And then I mean, what? Hobby King carried that 105 that they have. That's it.
And that was built by AF Models.
That was built by AF Model.
Let's think even more basic. Why are they coming out with so many versions of the timber? Why? They came out with a micro to a mini to a UMA to a large one. Because they sell, dude, and that's it. That's literally it. They have literally went from the tiny ones all the way up to the larger ones because they're selling. So when a company realizes something is selling good, they're going to do all of it. You know what I mean? And they're going to try to get that whole market. So again, you have to diversify in order. But again, just because something looks like it's selling good doesn't necessarily mean that it is. You're talking about moving units. It's funny.
I mean, you gotta figure it this way. Like, you know, you're not gonna go and just make I don't know, a big model, put it out there, and I laughed at that earlier.
I don't think we're talking about anything else tonight.
You're not just gonna go and make
a great conversation, man. We got 52 people in the room. This is good. You guys are getting
120 millimeter model, and then turn around and it doesn't make any sales on it. And you know, when you could have started off with like a 40 or a 50 or even a 64 version of it, see how it does.
Yeah.
These people are catching on to that airframe. Do they like the way it flies? You know, are they amazed by that airframe? You know, and if they're amazed by that airframe, then we'll step it up. You know, kind of like
nail on the head right there, Will.
Kind of like how the 57 is happening. Everybody loved that small SU-57 that Banana Hobby put out.
Yep.
And now we got
one too,
right?
Because everyone loves the presence of an SU-57.
Yeah. And not to sound like a fanboy, but what other company is coming out with an array of EDF jets like Banana Hobby has, right? Horizon hasn't.
Motion, and Banana. Motion and Banana are the only ones right now.
Those are the two guys that are producing the most out there. And I got to say, both of them complement themselves, you know. Motion complements and Banana Hobby complements. You know, what one doesn't carry, the other one is picking up. So, you know, the thought process on, let's say, like the SU-57, Banana's like, we don't want to run 2 batteries on our SU-57, so we're going 70 millimeter for us people that don't want to run 2. The people that want to run 2, guess what? Freewing's picking up the slack, and you can go run 2 right there. There's nothing wrong with it. So they both complement each other in that way. I just think that you gotta. It's really like what pays the bills for those companies. So they're both doing what they need to do. But I'm looking in the comments.
Bill Wagner just put up a good thing I would like to touch on too. And if you guys have listened to what we say here, we try to provide you the facts the best as we can. Now, when we talk about the foam versus composites, we've mentioned this before. There's advantages and disadvantages in each direction, right?
Yeah.
You know, like him, you know, $2,500 for a fuselage, right? Okay, that's because that's got to be handmade based upon what your parts are, right? So the mold number is being used to make the parts that will fit your current parts. And it takes a little bit, right? But it's expensive. You know what I mean? But yet you could get a foam jet fuselage and they're still $500, $600, somewhere around there for a fuselage, right? But they're mass produced. They're easier to obtain. That's why you can get a lower cost on there. So you got, you know, higher dollar composite one that's got to be handmade, or you got mass produced injection mold, stuff like that. And so you got advantages, you know, like what we were saying, the beginner guys starting with some of that foam stuff, you know, the foam bigger stuff. It's a fantastic idea. We always recommend starting with something like that. And that's the way you did it. And you did it right, you know, because if you do break something, you can get parts pretty quick, right? Because they're mass produced. But again, if you break something composite wise, you're looking at 3 months minimum for them to make it. And so there's advantages and disadvantages. You know, I'm sorry that you have to go through that pain of getting a fuselage, but I mean that's the facts of it. You know, it sucks when we got to be at that, but it's multiple different levels, and we talked about that. We talked about airplanes being 90 millimeters and below,
Yeah.
how easy they are and how they're different in descriptions. And then the ones that are 105 and above, they're a different description and how things are too, and things and responsibilities and setup and all that stuff, you know. So,
Yeah.
you know, there's different worlds with different types of airplanes.
Man.
Different things sell different than other things, you know.
I'm
And we you know and we try to cover all the basis of everything because we don't want to leave anybody out, because we don't
Right.
want to miss the money side of things, first of all, because that's what funds future projects, right? But we also don't want somebody that feels like they can't get advanced to the needs that they want,
yeah.
you know.
I will say, just talking to Carrie and knowing her like that, I mean, you can go look at the catalog of airplanes. I mean, it shows you, me myself is proof of like you can grow to like fly the turbine airplanes. Like I went from flying, basic, RC airplanes to like turbine jets, and it's just one of those things where you just, they got to give you the space to grow. And literally that's what's happened. I'm looking right now in some of the comments. I'm seeing, some people saying, I know motion is slacking hard this year on jets. Louis Motorsport says the last heat motion drop was the F-14 and the Panther. I mean, think about that. That was a while ago, man. And they've just been producing Mustangs and stuff like that. So, it's interesting to look back and see. Now they just came out with some Warbirds. Bentley Heck says the SR-71 from Freewing is cool. So there has been some pretty cool ones that have come out. That
You
we're
know,
seeing.
and you look, if you look in the last even 5 years, 6 years, I mean, airplanes have they're awesome. Everything
Yeah.
that's came out is really got a great basis that covers all around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We are in such a fantastic time of flying airplanes with the variety and options and all that out there. But it's tough. Oh, and you know what I mean? We got other planes that are coming too. Like, we got that new pilot Matrix coming too.
Yeah, dude, that's right.
You know what I mean? We've got planes that are coming down the pipe, just in regards to like the big 105 jets. They're just a bit slower right now than we would like them to be, but they're coming,
Yeah.
It's just what it is. So, if there's any misinterpretations of this, the answer is you're not being left behind. We're sorry that we can't tell you what's all coming out, because we don't want to do that. We don't want you guys waiting months and months and months and months and years and whatever. But things they're not made as fast as you think. Like I said, the Raptor took many years to come up with.
Yeah.
And then once it came out, everybody loved it in the turbine, and then we did the EDF version on it, and it got a good response at the beginning. We sold a bunch of them in the beginning, and then it slowed down. And like I said, we got that 4%, that really kind of gets the EDFs. But that's not enough to sustain or warrant
EDFs,
building more.
like the L39 or the MB339. Those ones will be like really good to keep in the EDF models. But the rest of them, even the Raptor, I'll say it's probably better to keep that in a turbine version versus an EDF version. But of course, everybody can't fly turbines at their field. So that's all.
And again, that's our
also
reasoning.
Another factor is that every field is not allowed to fly a turbine.
That's right.
Some fields are not allowed to fly turbines. Some fields let turbines fly until something goes wrong, and then turbines. So
that's a perfect point.
So you got to be able to still to those AMA field members as well, because they want to fly it too, but if they can't fly it at their field, then they're not going to buy it. So you figure if you got AMA field that can do EDFs only, and you got 20 guys out there that fly EDFs religiously on the weekends, that's 20 different possibilities that, Motion's going to lose, Banana's going to lose, whoever, because there's no EDFs out there for them to get a bigger EDF to fly. So it's going to stay with the small stuff.
The
And
moral of this
that may
story
be the
right here,
situation.
the moral of this story right here is exactly what we said in the very beginning, is that it's all about making money. And in a nutshell, composites are what's making the money right now. So when people are wondering what's going on, that's literally it. And Spanish Cop said I spoke with HSD, and flat out, they make more money on composites than foam. We all knew this. I knew this.
It's not all about making money, though. So, it really is not. It's really about what can be provided, and then what can be able to be sold enough to be able to make the next project.
Which means
if you lose your butt on a project and you can't make enough money to make the next project, where does it come from?
Yeah, you're done.
How does the next project get funded?
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be that. But like you were saying, we might miss out on 20 people. That's never the intention. We want to provide variety. So they may not be able to go up in size on airplanes, but we're hoping to provide variety of stuff that's in the level that they're currently flying.
Michael Orozco, you're right. He says Motion seems like it's trying to make up for the slack in lane sales by coming up with more surface stuff and boat stuff. And that's true. What they're doing is they're trying to make sure that they can survive, because everybody knows RC airplanes, they don't sell year round like as well as cars. And I don't even know if boats sell that well, but I would think that's a seasonal thing. But they try to diversify to make sure that they have everything covered around. Here's one thing though, I've talked to Carrie about it directly, is I'm like, have you ever thought about carrying, boats and tanks and stuff like that? And the problem with that is returns. Where are you going to return it? Where's it going to go? It's like Amazon. Amazon can handle all those returns and stuff like that. But somebody like Motion and BH, they don't have the time or the capacity for returns like that. So it's just something to think about why they wouldn't do that. So I agree. I think they're doing that to diversify the portfolio. Let's go.
Carrie, let me ask y'all this, and I'm gonna put this out there for who was it? Who's the guy that was talking trash to? Anyway, you know who you are. So Fanjet USA sells a composite L39 for $19.99 for $2,000, and then it's EDF or turbine. So what makes theirs so different? I mean, are they just not doing it right, or what's the
depends
who
they have? It depends who they
have.
Why
is that one? Why is it so much cheaper? And it is a hold on. Let me get the full specs on it here. And let's pull it up. It's on Fanjets USA. It is a 1750 millimeter. So that's a 1.7 meter length with a wingspan of 1.3 meters. So it's not huge. But it's still composite. So, and of course, from what you guys are saying, composite takes a lot of work. So I'm just trying to understand, and that's not the only composite jet that I'm looking at here. They have others as well. Most of them are like sport wings, that none of them are like whatchamacallit. They have their Viper, their Ferrari Viper, which is a 1.7 for $2,000. I'm just looking at different things that's here. So I'm just trying to understand, why is Jet Ruler so much more expensive? What makes theirs different? Do you know what they do to make theirs, are they making better quality than Fanjets, or
I don't know. I have never even seen this company's airplane ever.
Fanjet has
Huh?
Yeah, FanJet USA. Go to FanJet USA. They
No, what I'm
sell
trying to say is
composite jets on there.
I've never seen one in person, so I can't like say whether the quality's this or that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the
You know what I mean?
JTM is
I
the
don't
company that's
speculate on that
manufacturing
stuff.
them apparently.
It can be a variety of things. It can be that the
Oh.
manufacturer that they have is throwing them a deal. It can be that the manufacturer is doing it somehow cheaper.
They're just
You know,
carrying everybody else's
it just
jets.
all depends. You know
They're
what I
just
mean?
carrying everybody else's jets. I'm looking at it.
Yeah, they carry other people's jets. Yeah. Yeah, they don't make the jets, they carry them.
Yeah.
But I mean, the price point is
What are they?
FanJets USA. I mean, they're just some of these are like the RBC kits, Flex Innovate. Well, I mean, just got a whole bunch of different airplanes.
Are
They're
they a
just,
drop ship
they
place?
carry
that's a drop shipper. That's exactly what this is. Yeah, it's
So
just a
that's
drop.
why they don't have all the costs of having
Yeah.
to store probably or any of that stuff. There's all
Yeah.
kinds of costs. You know, container shipments. I mean, that's all costs. We've talked about this. You know, shipping to
Yeah.
your house, shipping to the warehouse, actual running business costs. There, you know what I mean. It all adds up. You know what I mean. And
Oh, yeah.
Tennessee said that the quality of them isn't as good. I'm looking right here. He said
like
the
I
quality
said, I've
aren't as
I've
good.
never seen one in person, so I can't say yes, no. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
I try to
Well,
be
they
that way on the
it's
channel.
and
To where if I've
lightweight.
never seen it, I don't say anything to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's safe.
Don't
But
get me wrong, Jeremy. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm trying to understand the whole composite life thing because I don't know anything about it.
so the composite world, you've got manufacturers that have been around for the eternities, right? And people have bought for a long time on there, so they've got longevity on there. And then they've been built the same way forever and ever and ever, tried and true. So you got those kind of guys, big names on that kind of stuff. Well, then you've got companies that are just jumping in, and so they've got to prove themselves in quality. So they might do a lower deal. They might be doing different, like as in there's different types of composite. There's actual fiberglass type composite. There's Airex that's lighter. There's carbon fiber. How much carbon fiber is added in certain places? How much wood? How much landing gear costs between
So
JP?
it's basically like how Kias are when they first came to America. Kias were like dirt cheap, brand new, but they had to prove themselves. Now they're of course more expensive. But so that's what you're basically saying.
Essentially. But if you look, like for instance with Jet Ruler, right? And please, I'm not trying to just say that they're the most amazing things in the world, but they're pretty dang awesome. The quality of that airplane is up there with companies that have been around for a very long time, and they're just starting. And so that's why they can charge where they're at, because they're taking the time to do it right. They're taking the qualities of companies that have been around for forever, and it's already applied now, and they're new. So that's awesome. You know what I mean? But there are other companies out there that are getting into it, and they're not great right now, but they're trying to get to that great. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's just all the difference. Now, the other thing is if nobody buys airplanes, then obviously they're either going to not be made at that price, might get lower, or they're just not going to be made at all. You know what I mean? Right. And so that's the facts of some of the things. So just like, the 105s, if the 105s are not going to sell, are companies going to request them to have them sit in their shelves forever? No. So they're gonna get ordered based upon how sales are, and then same with composites. Composites, I mean, you've got difference in qualities and everything. You got some airplanes that you have to buy and tear them completely apart and go through every little thing to make sure that it's all good, right, before you can even fly it. But there's a lot of other things too that are like, some companies you could actually trust and just be like, I trust that they do this. But you should
Yeah.
still look. You know what I mean? I still have to tell everybody to look, but I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. I try to give you guys the best information out there,
No,
but
you don't have to apologize. It's
you know,
just it's really just it's a debate. It's a conversation, that we just want to have just because, this is things that's just a wonder out there. So let's not take it out of the way of, we're bombarding Germany. No, it's a little
no,
banana.
I don't think you're
Dirty. No,
bombarding me.
it's
No,
not
you're
that. So
not.
me personally, I don't think you owe anybody any apologies. It's just, we're just trying to understand this. We're all in this hobby
Yeah.
together. We're trying to
I
just
think
make sense of
the
it.
the whole point of this whole conversation was to get understanding on like why companies do what they do, why
Right,
there hasn't been any big 105s, and
right.
how come they're going to fiberglass, and what is it? Is it true, false? Are 105s selling good or not? And I
They're
think Jeremy answered all those things. He
they're
answered every
technically
single
doing all
one
right.
I had. So, and it's because one, composites are now selling better than your foam stuff. Two, there's not a lot of people buying foam airplanes. Three, the manufacturers are pushing what the manufacturers want to push, whether we want it or not. And then four, the only way that companies like BH and Motion have leverage is if they go in onto the production and have some type of help with costs. That's how they get the leverage, unless they come to them. So, in a nutshell, that's basically what this whole conversation was, to kind of get some understanding. So, I think all that was done very well. I sat back here and listened to everybody, and I was reading all the comments, and that's the takeaway: is that companies are going to push what they think is going to sell, what pays the bills. And like Jeremy said, they're always going to carry the things that are making money. So that's why you see the same airplanes that are there: L39, MB339, T45. Those things are moving. Those are selling. Not that there's not other things in production, because unbeknownst to you guys, me and Will and other people know that Banana Hobby has a lot of new models coming that y'all don't even know about.
Right.
But they're in production, but everything is slowed down just because manufacturers are, they're switching gears. They're in a wartime right now where they're making UASs and drones for that country, so everything is on the back burner. There's a lot of things that, that you have to take in consideration. So this is why this conversation was so good. It was pretty fascinating to listen, and a lot of you guys that are in the channel were keying up and bringing up good points. So it's very, very interesting to hear these things. And now you know why we have so many variants of the Timber, why we have so many variants of the Mustang, why you have so many variants of the same airplanes. Why? Because they sell, plain and simple. And companies don't survive if things don't sell. So,
Hey, Spanish Cop had another thing on there. Sorry, my screen's behind there, so if you see me looking up, I'm not like distracting, like avoiding your conversations. Like, oh man, no, I have a screen behind so I can see what's going on. Anyway, we had talked about an F-18 being a potential for AF models, and we, Spanish Cop and we ended up, talking about it. Now, even though our conversation went the way it went, I still proposed that stuff up there for the manufacturer to make their decision on there. And the manufacturer came back with the exact same thing. That a foam F-18 may not have the structural support in the back end of the airplane to hold the elevators like it needs to with the F-18. So to have a thrust tube in there for that F-18, it's actually a really small thrust tube that it would have to be. So one, you're going to have a huge penalty with the bifurcated tubing. Two, you would have not a lot of space to be able to have your wires and supports and all that stuff in the structure on the outside there. So the F-18 is a very hard one to produce in foam because you got to have extra foam and ply and all that stuff inside of that back end to be able to do a structured strength that needs to be for a larger airplane like that. And so
hello?
My mic just died, so you guys can hear me through the.
Oh, I can hear you. Yeah,
I'm
we
trying to
can
figure
hear
out what happened. He got quiet.
No, I just had a pop up, and it said my mic died. But anyway,
Wow.
ultimately, what it all comes down to is we, even though ideas come up, and it may not seem right, there are conversations with manufacturers that go beyond just ideas, and they validated the same concern, was that tail section would need a lot of engineering, and it may not work, and it may not be worth the cost to try. So there may not ever be an F-18 from AF models, but we'll see. You know what I mean? So if they can figure some things out, maybe so. But that's the whole part of the engineering that goes into this stuff is seeing how it goes. But again, we like ideas from everybody, but we cannot make everything that everybody wants. It's just not.
Right.
It's not a thing.
Man, dude, this was a very good conversation, man. I love this conversation. I gotta say, this is probably one of my favorite shows that we've had in a long time, because we just covered some really good, deep things that a lot of people want to know. This was something that I had 4 or 5 people ask me, and so it's nice to be able to have a platform where we can have this conversation and talk about this stuff. And it's just nothing but factual information. It's nothing made up. It is what it is. And Jeremy, thank you for answering the questions the way you did, and you went into detail on things that you didn't really have to, but you did. And so it gives regular people like myself, Will, and the rest of the people watching an idea of how the hobby works, right? And I feel like if we understand how the hobby works, then we understand like why we don't get what we want, or why there's like 20 different timbers, or why there's another Mustang with a different, livery. I'm like, that kind of thing.
Why Freeway has every version of the F-22 in every side.
I know.
Well,
I know.
the facts of that is because F-22,
80, and 90.
I
just
love all
a
the companies, too.
fantastic airplane. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But it all comes down to is you'll see when we're struggling with ideas to propose to them, because we throw all kinds of ideas out there. There's a lot of airplanes that can be produced that you guys will all absolutely love.
Yeah.
But manufacturers sit there and go, I don't know if we could engineer it well enough to do well. You know what I mean? And so there's a lot of back and forth on there. So you'll see when we're really struggling on trying to come up with ideas, we'll put something out there and say, what do you guys want to see?
Yeah.
I mean, we've done that many times. We
Yeah. People said SU-57.
You know what I mean? Those ideas, the entire list of those ideas gets put out there to the manufacturers and go, look, this is what your community base wants. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how the B1 came about, right? The B1 originally was supposed to have been a TU 166 or something like that, 160. The blackjack, whatever that is, the B1's copy, and we ended up changing that to the B1 because we knew that sales were going to be better on a B1 than a blackjack. You know what I mean? So there's things that go on in there. You know what I mean? Like we've done the T7A Red Hawk. No other company's done a T7A Red Hawk. Will made a point on it.
When is the 80 coming back?
Soon. That'll be with the B1s, from what I understand.
There you go.
And like you said, we test the waters. The small airplanes are usually tests. Wink, wink, hint, hint.
Yeah.
Man, I think that 80 millimeter T7 is gonna be like the McRib, bro. Like the McRib was out, and then it went away. And then when the sucker came back, McDonald's was flooded with people buying.
I love my T7.
That T7 was just
flooded with people buying T7s.
Or the notoriety that it did until it was gone.
Yeah, as soon as X-Fly said, "Hey, look, we're done," and just so you guys know, it was not because of sales that made that go away. It was because parts. So when a manufacturer makes a run of things, they plan on a certain number. Okay, once that number of parts is gone, they have to redo with their vendors that make parts to make those parts. And so it's like a bigger picture. So there's a little bit of here, a little bit of here, a little bit of here, a little bit of here. So that's why the B1 stopped. It was not because of not wanting it. It was not because of bad sales or bad publicity, whatever you want to say on there. It was because they needed to have more parts made, more landing gear made. Because of that articulated metal gear, it took a while for them to get that. So, but there's a lot more to all of this. You guys only really get to see the tip of the iceberg on a lot of things.
And sometimes that's all we really need to see is the tip of the iceberg. You know what I mean? Like,
we try not to really, we dangle a couple of things in front of your guys' faces and say, hey, look, this is coming, like what we've done with the SU-57.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things you don't even know about behind the scenes, and we want to keep it that way because we want you guys to be excited when it comes and not like, oh, 2 years of waiting,
Yeah, because I'll be honest, there's a couple of airplanes Motion came out with that I was like, why'd y'all make that? You know what I mean? And it's not, but hey, I'm just thankful somebody's coming out with something, right? Like we have to be thankful for the things that we get because some people don't have to be bringing stuff. Now, last thing before, look, dude, this is one that kind of really hurt my feelings when I found out, dude. Y'all discontinued, you guys, not you guys, but the Alpha Jet was discontinued. And I'm like, that was an excellent flight. That thing was the best sounding airplane. It was the best sounding that ever flown.
They were very similar on sound.
They were very
now the Alpha Jet, from what I understood, the reason why it was discontinued is part availability. So
yeah. Spanish says, I'll say Banana has been good for carrying parts versus HSD hardly ever has parts to support their jets. And I will say, I know for a fact Banana has parts for sure, and if they don't, they get them. And I will say that I know HSD has parts, but you got to go through Chris to see if they have them. And so one is easier than the other, for sure. And I'm just looking. Let's see here. But hey, look, we've been going for an hour and 15 minutes, man. We need to shut this bad boy down. Yeah, we've been going an hour and 15 minutes. We got 52 people in the room. I hope we get 52 thumbs up, man. This was a good conversation right here. That was very informative that we needed to have to get some great information.
Oh, look at that thing.
And other than that, I think we're pretty much it. I think we're done. And RC Palawil, you got anything, man?
Nah, man. Just the usual. Everybody have a good weekend. It's gonna be a nice, clear weekend this weekend for us, Bobby. So might get some flights in. And Bobby, hey, I got my turbine back.
Congratulations, man! You got that back.
So what are you putting it into?
I put it back in my L39. So nice. I still got to get my exhaust for the Raptor. So I just need the exhaust tubes for the Raptor, and then of course another turbine for it, and then the Raptor will be up too. So.
All right, Jeremy, what you got, man? We're gonna punch it out of here. What you got, buddy?
Hey, Mountain RC, give me a call after this. Talk to you a little bit. Let's see what's going on. Hopefully the weather ends up turning out this weekend. There's a RC event down at Spanish Fork, Utah. No, not Spanish Fork. Saratoga Springs. Whew, said the wrong thing. Spanish Fork. So I'll put a plug out there for you, Mountain RC. So they got their event this Saturday. Hopefully the weather turns out. So if you guys are local Utah or really want to drive to come out to that event, they should have an event that's pretty good. So it's their open house. So
there we go.
That again, things are coming, guys. We can, hopefully we do that. We got another plane back here that we ended up announcing an unboxing on just today, I think is what it was. But
which one is that?
All kinds of good stuff. What's that?
What is that back there?
That's the 1.8 liter Viper jet.
The 1.8.
Yeah.
Ooh, nice.
I'll show it if you want. It's up to you. But anyway,
let me take a look at it, man. It's back there. Let me see. You're not going to say you have an airplane and then think I'm not going to look at it.
I was just joking about showing it.
That's a good size. 1.8 meter is a great size. What's the power plant?
60 to 102.
Oh, dude, this is perfect.
Jeez.
It's in the cheaper range of composites.
How much?
So I think
Nice.
I think it's like $2,700.
That is actually considered affordable.
I
Yeah.
won't do that because I haven't looked at it. But anyway,
How much is
it's got really cool features like quick removals for the horizontals.
Does it have the hatch up top where you can get to the engine, or is it below?
It's on the bottom.
Okay.
I wish they would do it on the top.
Me too. That's my only gripe with turbine, the Viper.
Look, check this out.
Nice.
It's got a quick release for the elevator.
Oh, that's cool. I
So you
like
just
that.
pop that quick. So
That
you
is
put them in the bag. The wings have the same quick connects. That's going to be one of the easiest airplanes to get set up. We'll have that ready to go in like an hour. That's how easy
Nice,
that
man.
be set up.
And you just dropped that video?
We did an unboxing of it. So enjoy that.
Man.
So again,
Well,
if you want a composite, there you go. That's another, because we got several companies. We got Pilot, AF Models, Jet Ruler,
Yeah.
X-Fly, Fly Fans, Zane. You know what I mean? We got all kinds of companies that are making things. So,
Well, boys, we're going to slide on out of here. I certainly appreciate you guys, Jeremy, Will, man. Great conversation, covered excellent topics. And I say we've been going for an hour and 20 minutes. So I think it's time for some Pop Smoke. Slide on out of here. Enjoy the rest of this Thursday. Guys, we really appreciate you guys tuning to the channel. Hope you learned something about the manufacturing and the economics behind the hobby. And other than that, stay tuned. We'll see you next Thursday. And don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, Jeremy's channel, and also RC Pilot Will's channel. Other than that, we're out of here. Boom. Another Thursday.